Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and Space Time Smackdown just dropped, kind of actually at the time of recording, it hasn't dropped yet, but we know all the cards from the set, and I wanted to talk about what the best pack is from the set between the two, and spoilers, it obviously depends on what you want, but I'm going to go over the good cards in each pack, and this is the first main set that we're getting that's new, and therefore the first set that we're getting that is the first new set where we already have collections. Presumably, you have a collection already of pocket cards. Some of you might not, but most of you do. And then that means that this is building off of other cards you already have. If you don't have a collection and if you're just new, I guess I'd recommend that you open the first set, Genetic Apex, and I don't know what pack you should go for. Pikachu EX and Mewtwo EX are really good, and they're in the Pikachu and Mewtwo packs, and then the Charizard pack has a bit more diversity. I would certainly not go for these newer packs because they don't really have full decks. This set has, a bunch of different cards, but I don't really think there are any full decks. And obviously, when talking about these cards, we do have some like alternate arts. So like Mesprit, which is in the Dialga pack, but is normally in the general pack. Same thing, I believe, with Regigigas here. And then Dialga EX and Palkia EX, of course, are in their respective packs, but they do have gold versions in the general pack. But, you're probably not going to pull those. You could, but it's not that likely. And so in the general set, we'll go over this first. We do have Magnezone, which is an okay card in my opinion. It's not amazing, but it evolves from the Magneton, which is in the Pikachu pack. Well, it evolves from any Magneton, but the good ones from the Pikachu pack, which can accelerate to itself. I think Magnezone's a decent Pokemon, potentially in Pikachu EX, though I don't think it's amazing either. Um, I don't think it's super good, but most of these cards are pretty bad, to be honest. Um, yeah, I don't have too much to say about really any of these cards here. But yeah, Electrode could also be played, I guess, in Pikachu. I don't think it's very good though. Um, this Finneon is, I guess, the best Finneon if you want to be playing Lumineon. Obviously, this doesn't really change which pack you want, and most of these cards don't really have synergy with other stuff. There is the Mesprit deck, which is okay. And I guess will probably be a deck that a bunch of people are playing. You can combo, I believe, Uxie into Mesprit, which will then allow you to go ahead and hit for massive damage, but it's kind of sketchy in my opinion because you need to do a lot of setup and you have very low HP. And then Togekiss here can be comboed with the stuff from the Palkia pack, which is Cynthia and Garchomp as well. You're probably not playing Garchomp and Togekiss together. I don't think Togekiss is particularly good either. I think it's mediocre. Might be the best card from the general pack. And so do keep that in mind that if you're going for the Cynthia stuff, then you'll have an easier time pulling the Togekiss than the Garchomp, most likely. Also, all the Rotoms are here. I don't think any of them are particularly good, but if some of them pique your interest, they're basics that can be put into their type of deck, and they're okay, I guess. I think there's the Drapion as well, which is part of a specific deck. The Team Galactic Grunt deck, I think it's pretty bad, to be honest, but, that card is there. The Toxicroak. Wait, no, maybe Drapion's not one of them. What's the Pokemon? It's never mind. They're all in here. The Croagunk, the Stunky, and the Delcatty, which is I actually don't know. Oh, okay, that one's in the other pack. So that will be split across the two packs. I haven't really been paying attention to this deck. It's really bad in my opinion. But yeah, it's like Pokeball, but worse, kind of. But that is a deck if you want to play that. Apparently, that's split between the two packs. But not too much to say about the general pack and spread. It's not super good. Regirock's also a decent wall, I think, though. So if you're looking for a wall, kind of like Druddigon or like Weezing, well, it's not really that much like Weezing, but I'd say it's kind of like Druddigon. It's a basic. It's pretty tanky. It's not going to be doing damage in return, outside of a tool, though. But then let's hop into the actual separate packs. Also, sorry, I am sick still, so hopefully I'll be better soon. But we got 5 EXs, and let's start with those. I'm not going to talk about them too specifically, the ones that aren't super good, but I have talked about them before. So you can check out those videos there, and I will talk about them again as well. Yanmega EX is a attacking option. I don't think it's super good in the numbers it's actually hitting, but it's okay. If you're just looking for a random Stage 1 EX to play, it could be good. That probably won't be good, to be honest. And then you have Pachirisu EX, which is actually really good in Pikachu EX, and maybe even playable outside of that. It's actually pretty good, doing 80 for 2 with the tool attached, which is really solid. Pikachu EX is 90 for 2 with the full bench of Lightning Pokemon, which I think is a little harder than Pachirisu EX getting the tool on. Obviously, it does depend how you're building your deck, though. But I think this card's going to be amazing in Pikachu EX and okay in other things as well. Then there is Gladiax. I don't think Gladiax is very good. It is the same evolution as Gardevoir, but probably not, something you could really ever play together, because of the energy typing. And then you have the attack, which is okay. It's pretty mediocre. I'd say it's on a similar level to Pidgeot EX if you want to gauge. I haven't really played Pidgeot EX, and I haven't really seen it much either. I might have played with it some. I honestly don't remember. If I did, it wasn't particularly good, and if I didn't, well, I still don't think it's particularly good. Um, they're not like completely terrible either. And Gallade does combo with the Lucario, but I don't think that's something you really want to play. We'll get to Lucario in a moment, though. Darkrai EX is a really cool card. It's not like amazing, I don't think, but it allows you to get some extra damage on the board and can be comboed with some stuff, but the combos are kind of sketchy. Like very specific combos. If you just want to play this in like Weezing or something, though, you could definitely pop it in there, and I think it's actually pretty good. Though I don't think it's not like an amazing Pokemon at this moment, though. Yeah, if we get energy acceleration, I was just reading its wording. If we get energy acceleration, then it could be like really insane. But we don't have that for darkness at the moment. Then there's Dialga EX. Dialga EX is, in my opinion, pretty clearly the best EX from this set. Actually, Pachirisu EX is really good too. But the Dialga EX can accelerate to any type of Pokemon for 2 metal. So this could enable, for example, Yanmega EX, or Mew EX, things like that. And then you can do like decent damage. It's obviously, it's better than any of the metal Pokemon we have now, because they're not very good. They aren't really amazing partners. You do have Registeel and Heatran in the set, which are okay. So if you're looking for like an actual deck, if you're wondering if Dialga is an actual deck, just straight from the set, I don't really know. You also do have a bunch of other cards from this set, though. But I guess if you're just looking at the EXs, we'll compare those two. The EXs from the two sets right now, or two packs. Infernape is like an okay stage 2. Um, yeah, it's decent. I don't feel like talking about it too much. I have talked about it before, and I will talk about it in the future. It doesn't have that much depth going on, though there are some intricacies in terms of actually playing it, but regardless, Infinite's like fine. And then Palkia EX is fine as well. Palkia EX is a card that is nice within water decks, and it's probably going to be played in, if I had to guess, like half the water decks or something. It'll probably be overplayed at first because that's how new cards are, but it's decent. I've heard some people like say it's really good, and it's not. It's okay. It's not a bad card. Actually, in a vacuum, it is a bad card, but it's not in a vacuum. It's within realistically the best type in the game. Not necessarily that the best deck is water. I don't think it is. It's probably like the third best deck, maybe second. But water water has so much support in like a bunch of different areas, including Manaphy, which can accelerate to two of your benched Pokemon, a water energy from the energy zone. Again, can accelerate to any type, but does take water energy, so it really should be played in a pretty much mono water deck. You can have non-water attackers, colorless attackers, within their attack cost. And that could be good with Palkia EX and different water Pokemon. I think Manaphy is actually really solid. Then we have Mismagius EX. This is 70 in Confusion for 2 Psychic on stage 1. Again, kind of like Infinite. It's pretty whatever. I think Infinite's a little bit better, but Mismagius EX I don't think is very good. Then we have Licky Licky EX, and Licky Licky is really, really expensive and not that strong. It's kind of like Gyarados, I guess, but it's worse. Um, yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about it. Theoretically, I guess it could one-shot anything because it's like coin flips, but it's not going to be always doing that, and so it's probably bad. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, sorry about that. And then you got Weavile EX. This one is probably the most interesting one from this set. For 1 darkness, you do 30, but 70 if your points active as damage counters on it already, or has damage. There are no damage counters. Um, that's pretty good. That's like, you need to set it up, but it's pretty cheap. I don't know exactly how you get this going. I mentioned Darkrai EX previously in another video, and there's Greninja, but these do take some setup, so it's not like super fast, but it's not slow either. I think Weavile EX is a pretty solid stage 1. I don't think it's broken, but I think it's pretty good and really good Darkness Pokemon. There's also Spiritomb from the set, which I think is really cool, which just 10 to each your opponent's Pokemon for 1 colorless, can be played in, of course, anything, and can be played with Weavile to set up damage on all your opponent's Pokemon. Those are the EXs. Between the EXs, I think the better set is definitely the Dialga set, with Yanmega probably being better than, honestly, most of the EXs in Palkia, the Palkia pack. Pachirisu EX being really solid, Dialga EX being really solid, and Darkrai EX honestly also being really solid. I just think Galade EX isn't very good, versus in the Palkia pack. You have Palkia EX, which is okay. You have Weavile EX, which is also like pretty good. Though I don't think they're at the caliber of the other cards from Dialga pack. And then Infernape EX and Mismagius EX I think are pretty weak. Not like super weak, but not top 20 decks to be honest. And then Licky Licky EX I think is also pretty bad. Um, But the real reason, so I think the Dialga EX pack is better. Again, if you like really want Palkia EX, you could want that. If you want water, probably go for this pack. Um, and I think Garchomp's also a really interesting card, and there's a good chunk of interesting cards, as well as like some of these trainers are kind of insane. But I think the best trainer from the set, which we'll compare next, which are actually probably more important than the EXs, but most people probably care about the EXs more, and they they feel like the splash cards. And we're not talking about the fossils, obviously in terms of regular trainers, but Pokemon Communication is probably the best card in the set. Choose a Pokemon from your hand and switch it with a random Pokemon in your deck. Can get evolutions or basics, and also like you'll probably have Pokemon in your hand. You don't always, but there's a good chance you do that you don't necessarily need right now. It's not amazing. It's worse than it's quite good. It's worse than Pokeball. Pokeball's probably the second best card in the game behind Professor's Research, though we could certainly say it's the best, and I wouldn't really argue too much with that. But Pokemon Communication I think will slot pretty nicely in as the third best card in the game, in my opinion. I think it might be a little lower than that. But then we have some other trainers here. Team Galactic Run, I mentioned earlier, real bad. A Volkner can combo with Electivire and Luxray, which is okay. They're okay cards. They actually, like, it's kind of weird. There's some stuff, some honestly kind of like new mechanic stuff, because it gets energy from the discard, which, as far as I'm aware, isn't really referred to. Outside of some Pokemon discard energy, but um, Pokemon don't interact with the energy in the discard, but this one does, and so that's like kind of cool. But it's kind of whatever. It's honestly kind of bad. And then Giant Keep is a tool. If you don't know tools, here it says in the bottom right. Use Pokemon tools by attaching them to one of your Pokemon. You may only attach one Pokemon tool to each Pokemon, and it stays attached unless it gets discarded by something. And of course, if it gets knocked out, it's no longer on. Giant Cape though gives you 20 extra HP, and Giant Cape is definitely a card that is like decent. I think it's actually really solid. Blue is a card that is kind of similar to it, but it's a supporter. Tools are kind of like items. You can play them at like the same um, kind of whenever you can play an item, you can play a tool unless your board's filled up with tools already. So Giant Cape's a really solid card. I think it's actually really good. They're not broken. And we'll talk about Dawn in a minute, but I'll talk about the other tools. Rocky Helmet, when hidden to, you do 20 to your points active. I misclicked. That is not what I meant to do. Rocky Helmet here, as I said, it does damage, which is really nice. And both of these are kind of dealing with when you get hit into. I'll also mention Lumberry, which removes special conditions once and then it gets discarded. I think Lumberry is kind of bad. Like, it's actually quite bad in my opinion. But Rocky Helmet, I think, is also really good. I think it's a little bit better than Giant Cape. Giant Cape's good. You currently cannot really discard tools. I think there are some Pokemon that can. I don't remember what they are, to be honest, off the top of my head, but there are some that can, but they're like not that good in my opinion. But then, oh yeah, I guess Starly discards tools, and just 24 one. That's actually not that bad, but regardless, Rocky Helmet and Giant Cape, in my opinion, are two pretty solid cards. They're actually quite good cards. I think they'll be top 10 cards in the game, which is kind of insane. Like, there's only 10 of them. They're pretty much all trainers. They're mostly trainers at least, and I think these will join those elite ranks. And then there are the supporters, and Dawn is the universal one from the Dialga pack, which is moving energy from one of your bench Pokemon to your active. This gives you some versatility, but also is kind of card you want to sometimes combo with Leaf, which obviously you can't do because they're both supporters, but you can combo with X speed. Then you have the supporters from the Palkia pack. You got Cyrus, Cynthia, and Mars. Cynthia is 50 more damage for your Garchomp or Togekiss. As I said, Togekiss is in the general pack, but Garchomp is in this pack, which we'll talk about in just a moment. I think Garchomp's okay, but I don't think it's that good. And Cynthia, makes it better, but it's kind of weird, as we'll talk about. But then the main ones, the general ones, we got Cyrus. Cyrus is actually really good. Switching one of your opponent's bench Pokemon that has damage cards on it into the active spot, and that's good. It's what's called Gust. Versus I think repulsion is the term that's used for like Sabrina and like the regular TCG. I don't know. I don't know what the term is, but people usually just say sent to the bench or something like that. But Cyrus is a card that is definitely pretty good. If you can get damage cards on your opponent's Pokemon, it increases the value of stuff like Greninja specifically, I guess, and even Spiritomb as well, which spreads. Cyrus is a good card. I think it's going to be also probably a top 10 supporter in the game. I think it'll be better than Sabrina, I guess, but I'm not entirely sure. It definitely depends on the circumstances, and there are going to be a number of times when Sabrina is still better, and Sabrina is more universal. You can't always use Cyrus, but still, Cyrus is very good, and a card we definitely want to keep an eye out for. that you'll want. You'll definitely want 2 copies of this card. Just like you'll want 2 copies of Pokemon Communication. But I think Pokemon Communication is better than Cyrus. Mars is also a pretty universal card. As a supporter, your opponent shuffles their hand to their deck, draws a card for each of the remaining points needed to win. This is kind of like a red card, but it's better, but it's a supporter. So I think Mars is good. I don't think it's broken, but I think it's pretty good. I think this is a card that'll see play as like a one of in some decks. I don't really see it being much more than that. But that's not bad. That's definitely a solid use case of a card. So I think Pokemon Communication though is the best card in the set that you want in all your decks, but or a lot of decks. But Cyrus is also very good, and you want a bunch of decks. So I think between those two, like you really do want to open up a mix of the packs. Probably, obviously, presumably you want all the cards of each pack eventually, but Cyrus definitely feels solid. But I don't think it's like super broken, like the best card in the game, completely changing the game either. It's good, but it's not. I wouldn't quite go that far. Then the tools are both good. I don't think there's, I don't know, maybe Rocky Hill is better. I don't really know, to be honest. I think they're pretty close. I think people will play Rocky Element more. I will say that. But I think it's pretty close still. At this point, favoring Dialga pack. Then the general Pokemon that are non-Roblox Pokemon that are not trainers either. Then we have Shaman. Shaman's a really cool card that heals 10 from each of your Pokemon. Lucario says your fighting Pokemon do 20 more to your opponent's active, and it stacks as well, which is really good. Then there's just Bidoof. It's actually half the HP of your opponent's active, rounded down, which is like kind of good. It's not amazing, but it's cool. And then in the Palkia pack, you have Manaphy I mentioned earlier is acceleration to water decks. Rotom here does 50 your opponent's active if they have a tool attached. 4-1 colorless as well. Also, it's a lightning Pokemon, so it does hit weakness on certain cards. I think Rotom's actually a really solid card. Not amazing, but I think it's good. I think it's pretty good. And then there's some other like okay cards. Garchomp's the card we need to talk about as well. It's actually the first draw engine in Pocket. Its ability says you can discard one to draw one, discard a card from your hand to draw another card, and then you can do 100-foot water fighting. Obviously, Dragon type, dual type energy, kind of awkward, more awkward than Dragonite, I think, because you have a bunch of wiggle room with Dragonite. You don't have any wiggle room here, so you have like a 50% chance to get the energies you need. Dragonite, you have I think it's like a 82.5% chance. I'm doing the math in my head. I don't actually know if I did it right, but whatever. It's certainly higher. You're most likely to get it, but you might not. And then Cynthia does add to your damage, obviously, which is nice. I think Garchomp's an okay card, and I think it should be played. I think it's okay. I don't think it's amazing, but it's okay. Overall, though, I would say Dialga pack, but it does just depend what you want as well. There are definitely cards that are cool from both packs, and I didn't talk about all the cards, so I just talked about some of them, and there's cool stuff from both the packs. There are cards that are good or like okay that I didn't talk about as well. And these packs are decent. They're not like insane. I don't think they're way better than the other packs before. I think they're maybe a little worse. We do still see some support trainers, including, or like I guess all trainers are support, but Pokemon Communication is a card that couldn't go in most decks and probably should. And Cyrus is on a similar level, and I guess Mars is also on a somewhat similar level. It's definitely behind those, but I think it is a bit better than Red Card. But anyways, tell me down below which pack you're more excited to open up first. But I hope you enjoy. Consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, all that good stuff. Hopefully, I am feeling better soon. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.